Whether you have kiddos with ADHD, maybe you're a mom with ADHD, or you're like our family, mom and kiddos, all ADHD, kind of predominantly all over the home, and you're trying to homeschool. Whether you're new to homeschool or you've been doing it for a while and you keep having some of these struggles, here are my top 5 tips when dealing with ADHD in the homeschool so that you and your family can truly thrive. Heavenly Minded Home, and welcome back to our channel. So we have videos that come out each and every day talking about all the homey things. So from homemaking to homeschooling, home discipleship to homesteading, all with a heavenly minded, eternal focused approach. I'm so glad you guys are here to hang out with us today. This week we're talking a lot about ADHD because it can be quite the curveball in life as we're trying to balance all the things, do the best with what we have, and sometimes that can be a little difficult when you're dealing with some ADHD related things. And so I wanted to talk today specifically about homeschool. So I have been homeschooling for a dozen or so years now. It's been quite a while. We have 4 kiddos. The 3 younger ones are currently being homeschooled. Our oldest, we just graduated here this past summer. Many of these things I'm going to share with you here today are things that we have learned the hard way. I was not aware really of ADHD until we started noticing issues with some of our kiddos. And then the more we learned, the more we found out, the more we went, wow, this makes sense. I never realized my whole life that I have ADHD until being an adult and seeing, oh, these kind of quirky things I always did, there's a reason for it. That's why I struggle in this environment. That's why I do these things. That's why you kind of see these pieces come together. And so these are the things that we have implemented in our homeschool to really set us up for success, set us up for a system that is going to thrive even when we're dealing with different variations here. Now, I would say that 3 out of 4 of my children fall on the ADHD spectrum. It doesn't mean it's a one-size-fits-all, of course not. And any of us dealing with it, we know there are some differences. But I still believe that these principles overall can really, really help you today to start implementing them in your home, in your homeschool, and really seeing results. So let's talk about these tips. Because we are on the internet here, I am going to say, obviously, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I am not saying that I have the ultimate authority on all things ADHD. These are simply one mama sharing her tips and tricks to the things that we do in our home to help our family thrive. I pray it can be a blessing for you and your family, but if you are here looking for medical advice, you are in the wrong spot. Here is your warning. Let's get back to the tips. For each of these tips, I'm going to share a little bit on what to do to help the kiddos with ADHD, as well as what to do to help the mama with ADHD. Like I said, in our house, we're kind of a just ADHD predominant family, and so we kind of take these same things, structure them a little differently for the kids and for me to help us really thrive in our homeschool. And the first tip I'm going to share would be a simple structure. This is so incredibly important. I think a simple structure is really important for our ADHD kids so that they know what to expect. They know what's coming next. They know what the routine is. They know how our day is going to go. Kind of setting some of that structure, some of that framework really does help as they're trying to work through the things in their mind to kind of keep it together. I know where we're going. I know what's up next. Maybe it's something that isn't my favorite to have to do, but I know that after that, I'm going to do something that I really, really enjoy. Having that simple structure is really important for them. At the same time, for me, having that simple structure is really, really important because it helps me hone in on my focus. I may wake up with my head spinning. I may be struggling to try to keep it all together and I just kind of want to be bouncing all over the place or like productively procrastinating or whatever it might be that I'm dealing with. And so having a simple structure, again, that framework there to help me know where I need to hone in and focus is really, really important, especially when we have ADHD. This framework doesn't have to be over-structured, it doesn't have to be stressful, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, just some simple guidelines to really set us up for success. My second tip here that I think is absolutely important, especially for those who are a little more hyperactive on the spectrum, would be to balance the still time that we need our kids to be focusing on a certain activity with some movement time. So when we have, especially our ADHD kiddos, making sure that it's not just all requiring them to be still, requiring them for long periods of time. Maybe you think that they should be able to sit still and focus for a little bit longer, but that's just not where they are right now. That's okay. You can always build up to it as you work through it and they get a little bit older. I have found that balancing still time with movement time is really, really helpful with my ADHD kids. We may sit down and do a little bit of table work, and then guess what? I make sure that we've got a good chunk of time after that to get outside, to move around, to play. They do the Heavenly Minded Homeschool Academy. We have online co-op classes that you guys are all welcome to come and sign up for. Our kids do that, and I make sure that after they've done their class time, we have open-ended time that whatever it is that we're doing, it involves movement. They can get up, release those wiggles, and get that energy out that they have. The same thing for me. As I'm trying to balance, all of my stuff here with the areas that I struggle in, I try to make sure to balance and me get up and get moving. That time that I structure for the kids to have that kind of open-ended time for movement, I get up and I also get moving. I use it for a time of productivity. If the kids are going outside and they're gonna go run and play or swim for a little bit to kind of get their time of movement in, I'll go ahead and run my vacuum mop and get the floors cleaned. I try to make sure that I balance that with me also getting up, getting that energy out, moving around and doing something productive, which really is such a soothing thing, especially as we go throughout our days with all that we have on our plates. Being able to balance that stillness with that movement is really, really helpful, especially when we've got ADHD kiddos and ADHD mamas. My third tip would be proper fuel for our bodies. Our cars are what we put into them, and our bodies are absolutely the same. Diet and nutrition is really important, and especially for those of us with ADHD. What we are filling our bodies with is going to affect the output that we're getting. So if we know we already have some transmitters that are maybe struggling a little bit, or some things that we have going on, what we're putting into our body to fuel it is really, really important. This is huge for our kiddos and for ourselves. And regardless of if you have ADHD or not, but especially if you do have this, it's so important to really look at what you're fueling your children and yourself with. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. So if you're curious to see exactly what we eat and exactly what we do being an ADHD predominant family, be sure to subscribe and turn on your little bell notifications, because tomorrow we're going to cover that in absolute detail, okay? But I think this is so important to pause and remember. There are a lot of foods that really do negatively impact, especially those with ADHD. And so if that's what you're consuming, and then you're expecting your kids to sit down and listen, or to get their schoolwork done, or you're trying to get it all done and you just can't seem to get there, a big part of that could be the fuel that you're trying to run off of. And so yes, this is absolutely a tip for homeschooling, because I want to make sure that my children are properly fueled, of course, but especially when I know that they're already trying to work through some difficulties and some struggles. They do have a hard time focusing. They do have a hard time concentrating. They do have a hard time, kind of staying on task. I want to make sure that I am setting them up for success in every way that I possibly can. And what I'm fueling them with is definitely a key factor in that. My fourth tip here for the kiddos with ADHD would be to let them learn where they're comfortable. Now, sometimes it's nice to be able to sit down at a table and get stuff done. I have some kiddos though where that just doesn't work. They need to have some movement. They need to be able to wiggle. They need to be able to kind of process in a different way. And so if being at a table works, that's great. Sometimes for us it's at the table, but it's with squishies and slime and something tactile for them to be working with while we do the lesson. Sometimes it's sitting outside in the swing. Sometimes it's laying outside on the pavement in the sunshine, or sitting on the couch, whatever it may be. If there is a specific setup that works better for your child, that's fine if it doesn't look like all the Instagram photos. What works best for them? Where are they most comfortable to be able to focus at? Go there and do your lesson there. And then to help us mamas here who might be struggling a little bit, tidiness really is important. I've noticed this so often when I run into other moms who are also dealing with ADHD, and they just talk about how they can't seem to focus and they get so distracted and they have such a hard time getting through lessons and really working with their kids because there's just too much. I feel the same way. And so for me, I like to keep our home really simple, really minimal. I can't focus when I know that there's dishes in the sink and stuff all over the counters and a pile of laundry, hiding over here out of my, kind of end of my vision over here. It makes me nutty and I really can't focus. It's really distracting. And so taking the time to, yes, have a comfortable space for my child, but then to lay a tidy framework for me to be able to focus and kind of set them up for success is really important. We have very specific routines, very specific framework that we put in our home to help us keep it together so that we can be set up for success. Again, what do you need to do for your family to thrive? That's important. Make that a priority. Set it up in the best way possible to serve you and your family. If you're curious how I keep up on the homemaking stuff, of course you guys can go to the playlist and see all of our homemaker stuff for some tips and tricks and ideas of what to do there. But these things really make a big difference, especially for us ADHD predominants that are trying to keep it all together, being able to thrive in our homes with our homeschool. My fifth and final tip here might seem kind of simple, but I promise you it is important, and that would be for the kids and for you. Break as often as needed. We want to make sure that we're doing the best with what we have given to us in this season, in this day. And it's okay if it doesn't look like your preconceived notion of what homeschool should look like. It's okay if it doesn't look like what someone else is doing. It's okay if your family thinks you're crazy and they don't get it either, because you know what is best for your children. And we're all learning as the process goes on a little bit more each and every day. Break as often as you need to. Have a schedule that works for you. Stop and have fun. If everybody's getting too overwhelmed, if everybody just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, if you have a day when a kiddo is just way too high strung, or maybe you're way too stressed out because the house is overwhelming you, hey, do like we're doing this month and say, we're not even focusing on curriculum this month. We're spending the month emptying our house out and getting rid of excess. Do what you need to do to bless your family, to work for you. That is one of the greatest joys with homeschooling, is it can be exactly what you need it to be in this exact season of life for your children, where they're at, for you, and where you're at. So don't worry about it. I promise you everything is going to be okay. When we focus on restoring the home, restoring the family, nurturing our relationships, focusing on a foundation of biblical truth, there's nothing that can stop us. So I just want to encourage you and say, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, you've got a kiddo who's just, what you've set up maybe isn't working for them, or what you've set up or you're trying to set up is just too overwhelming for you, set it off to the side. Hit pause for a minute. Come back again tomorrow or next week or next month, whatever feels best for you, and say, what do we actually need? What would really be the ideal scenario for our homeschool in this season? And then guess what? You absolutely have the freedom and ability to start building that. Build exactly what it is that your children need. Because remember, God gave these kids to you. So will the Lord absolutely strengthen you for exactly what it is that they need? Of course He will. Take it to prayer and trust in the Lord to guide you to exactly what it is that you need to give to your children to thrive in your homeschool today. It is such a blessing to homeschool. It is such a blessing to be there for our kids. And sure, do things like ADHD kind of throw some wrenches in there from time to time? Absolutely they do. I have one kid that I can't hardly keep from bouncing off the walls and hanging upside down on the couch, even when I'm implementing all of these things. Some days get a little tiring. She's a bit much, but guess what? The Lord gave her to me. She's my blessing. And what a wonderful thing it is to get to set her up for success, to set up a system where she can truly thrive instead of being sent into a system where she is just going to be knocked down and stripped down to fit into a mold. She gets to be here. We get to find where she thrives and to really lift her up in that. So It's okay. If you need a break, take a break. You need to readjust, readjust. Whatever it is you need to do for you to be doing well, go for it. So friends, whether you have kiddos with ADHD, you have ADHD, you're like us and you kind of got everybody here, these were the top 5 tips for kids and for mom that I think are just so helpful. You've got to know this when you are homeschooling. You are setting up a system that can work for you and your family. It's not a one size fits all, but you start implementing these things in the way that can benefit your home and your family, and you're gonna start seeing some results. I'm so glad you guys are here to hang out with us each and every day. Of course, we have more videos about homeschooling, what we do, just sharing the different things like the Heavenly Minded Homeschool Academy, our family Bible curriculum, and all the different things that we put out. Truly, it is our prayer that it can encourage and equip you and your family as we live today and every day for the glory of God, enjoying all the blessings that the Lord has put around us in life. So be sure to subscribe and tap those little bell notifications. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to talk about exactly how we're fueling our bodies, but we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. You want a little bit more about homeschool? Feel free to binge away on this playlist right up here. Hopefully it can be encouraging to you in your homeschool. Otherwise, see y'all right back here tomorrow. Bye, friends.